So tomorrow at the Appropriations Committee is when we will find out if this goes onto the floor for a vote and becomes law, or whether it gets what they call suspended, which means that it didn't have all its nuts and bolts in the right place and they're going to suspend it. Usually when they suspend legislation, it vanishes. You can't take something that's been suspended and just re-enter it as it is. It has to become an entirely new bill. It has to be reworked.
So what's wrong with this legislation?
What's wrong with this legislation? So as of January 15th of this year, we'll be encountering what I call the clear cutting of access. We will have a cap on the number of farms that will be allowed in our large agricultural areas up north. So the farms that supply most of the cannabis to most of the cities, they're going to make a cap on. And the cap's not decided in any fair manner. It's going to be law enforcement and agencies like ASA deciding who gets to stay on the map. It is fraudulent, corrupt. You can come through. It's fraudulent, it's corrupt, it's a coercive monopoly. If the state doesn't recognize the corruption, the only alternative is, unfortunately, for the feds to come back in and sort the shit out again, which is not a good idea. The state should take responsible leadership. So as of 20 January of this year, you're going to have a cap on the farms up north, and in order to supply a dispensary in the city, your grow site will have had to have registered by this past June. Now, if that's not sneaky, I don't know what is. I got some concerns today from more than one patient of like, you've got to give me more notice and more advance notice of what's going down. This is moving like a predator. It is moving slow and sneaky and in the shadows. I've been asking for, Tom Amiano's staff is saying that he's staying on as a co-author because he's going to fix it. Well, then show us the patients the proposed fix, and we will walk away and say, thank you, Tom. But we have not seen the proposed fix yet.
Dodgy.
We also heard from Korea's office the last time many of us were up there. You can come on through. We heard from the state senator's office last time we were up there from his chief of staff, Amy Jenkins, that she would look into the provisional permit concerns, because the provisional permit concerns are what's going to shut down more than half, most of the grows in the city. So if you're a patient growing member of a dispensary in this city, as of January 15th, you are outlawed. Some of the best medicine that patients in this city get comes from the small boutique growers of San Francisco. That is why people come to San Francisco to get medicinal quality medicine. So 3 of the 8 registered nurseries of San Francisco are with Spark. So we really only have 5 other gardens. These gardens, regardless if they're friends of ours or foes of ours, will not be able to supply a city of millions. So we're walking into really unpractical stuff. So I'm really happy that we can all go up there today together. Make sure that you don't have anything that can't go through the security here. And we're going to go to our representative. We are constituents of Tom Amiano. We are constituents of Mark Leno. So we will go and we will see the people that we are constituents of, and then we will try to locate the author's Korea's office here as well. I'm not sure if he has an office here or not, but I think that we're within our rights, and I think that we deserve an explanation from our representative, not just I'm working on it. So let's try to get up there, and if you guys can just give me backup, that's all I'm asking. Well, let's give a good knock. Maybe they can't hear. It's my secret knock, my attempt at a secret knock.
My secret knock is using a key, so it's sharper and pierces the sound into
Yeah.
Mine is without.
See the sneaky, like, creepy stuff with that is that the date has already come and gone.
Yeah.
So if you, so if well, nobody was aware that cultivating members had to have registered with their city or county by June, but it's in the law. So that makes every cultivating member of San Francisco collectives an outlaw by January 15th. I've spent all day, off and on, texts and etc., asking why Tom Amaniano's name is still associated with the bill. Because remember when we went up, they were like, oh, we're going to fix it. And I was basically said to Curtis, well, I won't go up there if you basically show me what Tom's trying to fix. You know, and if he's working on the provisional permit thing and he has an amendment, then, you know, we're good. Right? So he said, oh, you know, you're going to do what you're going to do. So I didn't get that. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So we went and we talked with his field rep in the city. And she said she's going to place the calls. We had kind of an ironic thing happen because as we were talking to the field rep, I started getting calls from the cannabis attorneys.
Oh.
And I said, well, here's the cannabis, you know, attorneys. Would you like to talk to them? We have even people like Wayne Justman supposedly saying that ASA's DEA. So even the DEA, you know, yeah, they've been, I don't know per se if they're DEA, but they've definitely been orchestrating a coercive monopoly takeover of the entire state. Is that DEA know that's business interests? Right, and they've been grooming law enforcement lobbyists in the League of Cities to take their plan. They've been grooming law enforcement in League of Cities for the last decade. This is a very slow, calculated maneuver. The cap for the grows up north is still in place. So as of January of this year, if you are an outdoor grower and you did not register, and then people should bear in mind that the outdoor registry for Mendocino County, you know, we're not that far away from a federal crackdown. So when that federal crackdown came, the first thing that they did was grab the registry from Mendocino Sheriff, right?
Wow.
So a lot of people who are good people may not have reapplied for the Sheriff's Zip Tie program the last 2 years because there wasn't a trust established. There was legitimate concerns, and now, of course, people this year probably did register, but I'm doubting that they registered before June. You see what I'm saying? So there's hundreds, if not thousands, of agricultural outdoor greenhouses and fields that will become illegal as of January 15th. The city of San Francisco only has 8 registered cultivation sites, 3 of which are with Spark. So basically what we did when we went in is we talked to Tom's aide about the fact that 8 cultivation sites would have to be the size of football stadiums to take care of 26 dispensaries in a city of millions. You know, while we all know each other, we have no idea. And then with the shutdown of the city of San Jose, we have even more patients coming here because there's no access there. Then you have the whole set of patients that were cultivating members of different dispensaries that had no reason to apply. And one of our most interesting responses came from the planning department, who articulated that they treat this just as if you were growing orchards. So we have no specialized agreement with people that have even called the building department to make sure all their wiring and everything's correct, right? So a cultivating member of a dispensary is a person who has like maybe a guest bedroom and 4 lights, and in order to cover their costs, they're taking 1 unit to their dispensary that they're members of. Well, as of January 15th, all of those cottage and boutique growers of San Francisco become illegal. We're talking about a lot of people who have done nothing wrong, who have been completely law-abiding citizens, told that they can no longer provide medicine to our city permitted dispensaries. It is a complete corporate takeover. Then I would suggest that every advocate read David Downs' article where the industry is elated. The industry spokespeople like ASA are elated because what this law remains silent on is profits. So now they're no longer required to be nonprofit, and that is what they are rejoicing on. They are calling the concerns of not only us, because we have Medical Marijuana Policy Project that has filed a letter of opposition. We have Drug Policy Alliance. We have NORML that are all saying this won't work and the provisional process is unfair. Now remember when we talked to Amy Jenkins of Korea's office who said that there was going to be something done about that? She has not returned my calls. She has not sent me any amended version that shows that the provisional process has changed and that there's some type of realistic assessment of how many farms are needed up north. Because if we're going to allow law enforcement to decide how many farms, you don't do that with wine. Law enforcement doesn't go, the drinkers of fine wines in California will need about 7 fields of grapes. So why are we being treated any differently than any other agriculture? Right? Because that's crazy. And they're
Jim Crow.
Well, their line of thought is because we have to prevent diversion into other states. Well, the real story of California is for the past 30 to 40 years, our economy has been based on supplying an entire continent the supply of medical cannabis.
Competing against British Columbia.
Competing only with British Columbia and brickweed from Mexico.
It's everywhere.
So David Downs' article was like, oh yeah, we're the 8th largest economy in the world. We should, blah, 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 have profit, and we're going to... And then you have the lobbyists from the industry saying, yeah, and even if there's not, if there's a ban in your local county, by all the profits we'll make, we'll just buy lobbyists and buy that county and set, And it's really arrogant. It's unbelievably arrogant. There was no mention of the fact that the price increase, all the profiting that they're going to do is on the backs of people who are qualifying for medical cannabis. Now, if you talk to me about adult use, I don't care. Tax it. Tax the hell out of it. I don't care. If you're talking about people that don't need medicine, of course. But I'm really telling you guys, go check out the David Downs article and smell the truth. I've never been so offended. And then they say that we're being trivial and petty to complain about an $8,000 provisional permit.
Really?
And a $500
Really?
house.
We're being petty. And they called us the far left, which is hilarious. I don't find anything far left about saying that you need a date that everybody's aware of to apply for a provisional permit.
I think we're progressive traditionalists who would prefer that the government and corporations just get out of our lives and let us do what we've been doing for 12,000 years.
And what's the appeal process like?
I don't see the left and the right.
No, I don't
see
see it
the
at all.
fair process request,
Where's the appeal
I know why
process?
they're doing it. It's the money. But that's the point. You got people dying, and here we are 10, 20 years later still doing the cannabis thing. It never harmed anyone. It should just be in the laws.
Yeah, and I mean, that's part of what we were saying to them inside, too, was like, look, like, all of these people are compliant with local law, and for a completely arbitrary date that they were unaware of, they are becoming illegal. They cannot bring their medicine to a San Francisco dispensary after January.
Wow.
And these are the clubs that I think might have, and folks can help me out here, and you can turn that off in case people don't want to know, us to know or whatever, but I think like maybe Bassa has one of their facilities registered. I think that maybe Grassroots has one. I think that maybe Bernal Heights has one. Who does?
Green Door.
And the Green Door has one. So that's 4. And Spark has 3. There's only one more dispensary.
Cemented.
And what this law directly does to people that coordinate compassion is ruthless and cruel. We're the first thrown under the bus. You can no longer have a collective of caregivers. So like for instance, if me, Greg, and James were like, wow, there's not a lot of supply in San Francisco anymore, let's all get together and make sure that we can get them no. That is outlawed. You cannot have a cooperative or a collective of caregivers. So you can't, in caregiver definition now, will be only 5 patients. So right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have almost 4 dispensaries here.
How that work?
And they'll give us the discount $3,000 a pop. Isn't that sweet? Yeah. So all right, guys, let's get to work and get that $3,000 fundraiser.
Put that up against our green zone.
Selling cookies for free here.
You can fundraise for me. I would never respond.
To the light and be legal.
It's like, why should we now?
I know.
And they just made a date where nobody applied. Do you see the unfair? Like that was our request today.
It's a hijack.
It's a totally hijack.
And
It's
it's actually
total
a
terrorism.
ridiculous business model because your competition is the people on the street are going to be able to undercut you because they don't have a brick and mortar building that's
If we
paid
don't
for.
ban guns,
So
everybody
in
in the law,
reality,
just
it's
strike
about
down all
the
the other
business
laws.
decision.
We're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Response is the only thing I'm going to change is my underwear. So,
We hope so. Maybe your socks.
every day.
Maybe your socks too.
Seriously, I mean, what are you going to do to just be able to, like grow your own medicine?
It's more than 5 people. It's if they wrote it in. ASA wrote it in.
Right.
Donate, share. They put the words donate and share.
That's horrible. That's really horrible.
That's totally unfair.
You cannot donate or share to more than 5 people.
So when I'm cutting, when
Oh,
I'm
what
cutting, I can't
scum.
take clones nowhere.
It's a violation of your right to assemble, congregate, or anything
This
about
could happen tomorrow.
3 things can happen tomorrow in Sacramento. 1, they can approve it for this session. Then it will go as is onto the floor, which it means the whole vote. It already passed unanimously in the Senate, and the rumor is that Senator Correa has numerous courtesy votes. Courtesy votes aren't something that citizens think should be happening.
Not necessarily polite.
There's nothing courteous about taking our vote away from us. So it can go directly from the Appropriations Committee onto the floor this month and become law, which would mean everything would close down at the January 15th date. The second thing that could happen that would be wonderful, but I'm kind of doubting it because Amiano still has his name attached to it,
Yeah.
is that it could get voted down. The third thing that seems most likely, and when we met with Jeff Long from Assemblyman Gatto's office, he was saying that they might suspend it, which means it doesn't quite work, it doesn't have its nuts and bolts, it could cost, the cost might not be realistic. So then they put it in the suspense file, and then that changes the timeline so that when they have to re-enter it, they can't get away with
The dates have to move out.
the dates have to move out, and they can't just re-enter it. They can't just. They have to actually change it, and it can't be. I mean, it'll basically probably be the same law because we've seen Tom re-enter the same law for 4 years straight that we've told him we don't like, and parts of that law are in this law and were inserted on the assembly level, not even from Senator Correa and law enforcement. Some of the really bad stuff came through the assembly level and ASA's work with Amiano. Things that people should know. Don Duncan and Karen Woodson from ASA moved to Sacramento to do this.
New real estate?
Yeah, like Don Duncan sold his mansion in Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
Really,
Thomas Coates?
to the Cypress Hill guy.
To screw up Northern
And
California.
then came and moved into Sacramento for this year to wrap up this deal. So this deal has been in the workings. People move their locations to be able to have that hands-on. I can just walk down the street and start moving stuff around. And you saw how hard it was for us to all get up in the air and get to Sacramento, right? That was a really long day, and we only really talked to like 4 offices.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody to be very aware of the plot. If I get up to Sacramento, I'll let everybody know. If I find a way to get other people up there, one thing people can look into is the Megabus, which last time I tried it was like $10 round trip. But the thing is, it lets you off.
No, 9 each way.
But it lets you off in East Sacramento, and you have like nearly a $30 cab ride to the Capitol.